Kenya's drive for greater prosperity. Increasing manufacturing, offering universal health care, building affordable housing, and strengthening food and nutrition security are impressive goals. If these goals are achieved, they will move the country forward decisively, and American business can help Kenya achieve them. And we welcome the opportunity to do so. American companies are powerful partners. There is huge potential for Kenyan and American companies to build on each other's strengths and markets and to increase and create shared successes in the Big Four and beyond. Our companies are working on many projects and potential projects, from Wrigley's new factory to companies manufacturing apparel and exporting under AGOA, to energy projects such as the Pedo Wind Power, to Bechtel's proposed new Mombasa Nairobi highway, gold standard, to IBM's research lab, to Loon's plan to use balloons to offer telecommunications connections to unserved regions. Together, we are building the future. And that future takes another big step forward today with the signing of several major commercial and government partnership agreements, many contributing directly to the Big Four priorities. And we hope in a few months to take another step forward, strengthening our connections and our ties at the beginning of direct flights from Nairobi to New York. And if this dream is realized, it will unlock further opportunities for tourism, trade, and investment between our countries. Now, I do not want to ignore some of the challenges of doing business here in Kenya, and there are some. And I'm just going to mention one, and that is, of course, the challenge of corruption, which continues to undermine the country's future, slowing growth for its citizens. Corruption is simply theft. And it's time for it to stop. The United States warmly welcomes President Kenyatta's strong commitment to addressing this issue head-on, and we're providing assistance in the fight. The battle against corruption can be won, but it will require hard work and a sustained commitment from all Kenyans, all walks of life. Kenya's strengths are the reason we have seen an unprecedented wave of American companies exploring this market, seeking partners and opportunities, and bringing with them their technology, innovation, and enthusiasm. We want American companies to be the partner of choice for Kenyan business. And together, we are building greater prosperity for Kenyans and for Americans. I'd now like to introduce U.S. Undersecretary for International Trade, Gilbert Kaplan, and invite him to come and make his remarks to you all. Pamoja tusonge mbele, asanteni sana.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Ambassador. I'm very happy to be here. I'd also like to thank the Cabinet Secretaries in attendance here and the PAC DBIA members representing companies committed to investing in Kenya and doing business in Kenya. Thank you for joining us today. The PAC DBIA, the President's Advisory Committee on Doing Business in Africa, was set up several years ago and represents the United States in Kenya and other African countries in finding out what we can do to do more business, more investment, and more commerce in general in the key countries in Africa. The first one on our list is Kenya, and we look forward to going back in about a week and a half now, meeting with the Secretary of Commerce, meeting with the President, and conveying what we have found out and what we, as U.S. government officials in the trade and commerce area and U.S. businessmen and women, can do to increase trade and commerce with Kenya. With the most robust industrial base in East Africa, President Kenyatta's leadership in creating a climate for economic growth has, in a short period, attracted an increasing number of U.S. companies to invest and headquarter their operations here. Yesterday, I was able to see a Boeing Dreamliner with a GE engine right across from the Coca-Cola regional facility. Now, that plane is really beautiful, so you'll all be riding back and forth to New York. In addition to a number of American companies having established their regional headquarters here, we were pleased to see our total bilateral trade increased last year to more than $1 billion. To further boost trade and investment, we are supporting the government in developing enterprise zones along Kenya's first expressway, major renewable energy projects through Power Africa and the U.S. African Development Foundation, and increasing the availability of affordable capital through EXIM, OPEC, and USAID. It has been a pleasure meeting with so many of you since our arrival here in Kenya today, and for the unique opportunity to tour so many different facilities and learn so much more about Kenya business. The United States is a partner that is committed to Kenya's long-term development and the successful implementation of Kenya's Big Four. We have expertise and business in each of those 4 areas, and I believe we can make a major contribution to the success of each of the Big Four initiatives. We are here to find out more about Kenya, to look at any impediments and how to try to remove them. And at the end of the day, we will celebrate concrete outcomes already achieved during a deal signing ceremony. I am heartened and enthusiastic with the possibilities present here in Kenya, possibilities further enhanced with President Kenyatta's leadership in creating a climate for economic growth. Through thoughtful and thorough implementation of the PAC-DBIA recommendations, through, I hope, our new U.S.-Kenya MOU, and through collaboration on commercial opportunities provided by Kenya's Big Four agenda, I believe we can work toward a very friendly, prosperous, and productive trade, commerce, and business relationship between our countries that will support our economies, our businesses, and the citizens of Kenya and the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Undersecretary. Your Excellency, the program here that we have would see a number of meetings, breakout sessions to discuss some of the Big Four areas. And without taking much time so that we can get on with the rest of it, it's now my pleasure and honor to invite you, Your Excellency, to make your remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Good morning. I've still made it. It's still morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Let me begin by extending very, very warm greetings from all the people of Kenya to you, our friends visiting from the United States, led by our friend, the Undersecretary of Commerce for International Trade, Gil Kaplan, and indeed all members of the private sector who have joined him in this visit. And I believe that this visit is a reaffirmation of the cordial and warm relations that exist between the Republic of Kenya and the United States, but more importantly, between our two peoples. You will allow me to take advantage of this sitting before we get to our main point to take this opportunity to thank our Director General of UNON here, Sally Walker-Zwede, who today will be our last function together, seemingly since the SG has decided to give her another job. You have been a great partner, a great friend, and a trusted companion to the people of Kenya. You were the first Director General of UNON, and I think you have set a path for your predecessors or the guys who will come after you. I don't think anybody will be able to fit into your small shoes. But all the same, we're grateful for everything that you have done and the partnership that we have had with you and our government. Thank you, and we wish you every success in your future career. Let me also take this opportunity to extend our thanks to the American Chamber of Commerce and the U.S. Embassy for collaborating with my government to organize this important conference. A conference, I believe, that provides us an important point of engagement to exchange ideas on possible strategies that we can adopt to enhance establishment of business and investment between our two countries. I know our two nations have what I believe a shared social economic vision. In all we do, our commitment to improve the well-being of our people has always been at the center of our agenda. We consider in Kenya that our countries equally are well positioned to succeed in the 21st century if we work together to strengthen even further our trade and economic cooperation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you're currently aware, the balance of trade currently is in favor of the United States. But we in Kenya are optimistic that we will see a significant improvement in our trade with the United States as the implementation of the second Kenya National AGOA Strategy 2018 to 2023 kicks off. Indeed, we are hopeful to see an increase in our exports, both in volume and product range, to the United States market. And we appreciate the support extended towards this endeavor by the U.S. government through the U.S. Trade Hub in coming up with this important strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, as has been mentioned by various speakers, our development agenda in the next 5 years, I believe, also provides a lot more investment opportunity, and my administration has identified 4 key thematic areas, which we now commonly refer to as the Big Four, which we intend to focus on in the next 5 years. The 4 areas are growing our manufacturing sector, and I'm happy to hear from the Secretary that this is something that is close to your heart, which we intend to increase the manufacturing sector's contribution to our gross domestic product from the current 9% to 15% over the next 5 years. This is also, secondly, our intention to ensure sustainable food security. 3, to build a minimum of 500,000 new affordable housing units to close our housing deficit gap, and 100% universal healthcare coverage, which we believe is essential to us achieving the dreams and aspirations of our people. We, over the last several months, have put in place several interventions to ensure the achievement of the targets that we have set in these 4 thematic areas. And during the roundtable discussions that Minister Aden here has mentioned, I'm sure that the Cabinet Secretaries here present will provide you with more detail on those interventions and others that we intend to undertake. Additionally, and more importantly, my administration is also implementing a number of institutional reforms intended to improve the business environment that facilitates easy market entry and reduces the cost of doing business here in Kenya. On a regional basis, we are also collaborating with our neighbors to ensure that we also reduce barriers to trade so that your investment in Kenya can also easily access regional markets through East Africa, Central, and Southern Africa as well, and that has been an important part of my engagement with our neighbors. On the macroeconomic policy front, the environment will continue, and our government will further press to ensure prudent fiscal and monetary policies that support strong economic growth. Our development expenditures will continue to be prioritized to support growth, while monetary policy will aim to contain inflation within the range of 5%. Ladies and gentlemen, I would be amiss if I did not talk of the importance of security, as well as economic infrastructure, to sustainable investment and economic growth in any country. And in this respect, national security and infrastructure developments are areas which we are enhancing significantly. Indeed, even in this budget, 2018-2019, we have deliberately enhanced budgetary allocation on these particular areas. Ladies and gentlemen, given our long and well-established relationship, I believe we can do more together. And I invite U.S. companies to walk with us on the Big Four journey. You have companies here from IBM, Google, Coca-Cola, who have long experience working in Kenya. I believe that they can testify. I strongly believe they can testify that Kenya's doing business environment is sound and stable. Or Mr. World Cup, will you deny that? So I believe we can do a lot more together, and we know U.S. companies have a competitive advantage in areas such as housing, health, technologies, as well as pharmaceuticals, which we invite all of you to take advantage of. In this respect, we would encourage as much as possible that you partner with us and partner with Kenyan investors, because we also have a strong private sector in Kenya, and we encourage you to partner with them and to benefit from their knowledge, and they too to benefit from your technology transfer. Take advantage of your unique complementarities where possible to form joint ventures. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to underscore that we in Kenya consider our private sector as the engine of economic growth. This is why we are optimistic that U.S. companies will take this opportunity accorded by this conference to discuss and agree to invest in the 4 areas especially that I highlighted earlier, as well as other opportunities that may be open to you. We are happy as a country, following successful discussions between our 2 governments, which we hope and trust will culminate in the commencement of direct flights from Kenya to New York later this year. And I'm keeping an eye on this. We hope and trust. We have done everything that needs to be done. So this, I believe, will no doubt greatly enhance our trade relations and create direct and indirect employment opportunities, as well as stimulate tourism between our 2 countries. In this, I am also aware that this visit will culminate in the signing of business deals in both private and public sector, and we do not take this for granted, as it demonstrates, I believe, the confidence and commitment the U.S. government and the U.S. business community have in our country. Finally, as the ambassador has mentioned, I want to take this opportunity to assure you that it is indeed my administration's intent to ensure that we create an open and transparent environment in which business can thrive. And there is going to be no comeback in this war. And we are going to fight this animal called corruption and ensure that it is a beast that shall never infect or inflict future generations of this country. And to that end, I thank the US government, with whom we have been working very closely on this agenda over the last year, for their support. And I call upon all Kenyans, let us not politicize this issue. What we are doing for future generations, and let us all support this, because at the end, it is what shall help us achieve the social economic agenda that we all believe and have set out, and ultimately help us achieve the aspirations of 42 million Kenyans. So, I conclude by saying that I reaffirm that Kenya will continue to actively engage the US to deepen further our trade and investment relations for the mutual benefit of our peoples. And with these few remarks, let me open what you have already started, this conference officially, and to say that, yeah, it's still 12. I have another half an hour. I'll sit here. If you have any questions to ask, please, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, yeah. Thank you, Your Excellency, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, sir. We may be seated as I invite Principal Secretary Kipto to take us through the business deal signing ceremony.
Your Excellency, we have 6 deals to be signed this morning. And in order to save time, we are going to have the first 3 deals to be signed simultaneously, and then the other to follow immediately thereafter. So the first deal to be signed will be between the Principal Secretary of the State Department of Energy, Engineer Joseph Njoroge, and the ambassador, the U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Robert Godek, who will be signing a Power Africa Government of Kenya Cooperation Framework. The framework outlines areas of Power Africa focus in Kenya and is an alignment with the Power Africa 2 strategy, as well as the Government of Kenya's objectives of ensuring universal electrification by 2022. Emphasis will be placed on providing support to the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, KETRACO, Kenya Power, and the Energy Regulatory Commission. Please take up your... Yeah, you can continue signing. The next... Very good, I'm impressed. Give them a round of applause. The next deal to be signed will be between Jafet Sai, who is the general manager with the Kenya Tea Development Agency,